Hey, everybody, let me ask you this question. Are you the person everyone relies on? The one who's always got it together, handles things on your own, rarely asks for help. But if you're honest, you're kind of tired, right? Not just physically tired, but emotionally tired of carrying everything by yourself. Now, if that's you, I want to talk to you about something that might feel a little bit surprising. And what that is that your independence might not be your strength. It may be a way that you're protecting yourself. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. Being independent isn't a bad thing at all. It's powerful to be capable, right? And it's valuable to be responsible. We want to be responsible citizens, you know, but there's a difference between I can do things on my own and I feel like I have to do everything all the time on my own because one feels empowering and the other just, can we be honest? It feels exhausting, right? So let's look at a quick example. Here's a common scenario, okay? So you're in a relationship, maybe you're dating someone, could be a friendship, whatever. And someone needs to get something done. Something needs to get done, right? And maybe it's planning something, maybe it's handling a problem, making some type of decision, right? And instead of asking for help, you just do it, right? You tell yourself, it's easier if I just handle it. I don't want to depend on anyone. And I really don't want to be disappointed. But underneath, there's a quieter thought. And that thought is, what if they don't show up in the way that I need them to? And again, you take over and you do it again and you do it again. And over time, something begins to build. Can you guess what that is? I give you a couple of guesses. It starts with an R. I know some of you got it, but yes, what begins to build is resentment. Because now what's happened? You feel like, oh my gosh, I have to do everything. I carry everything. No one shows up for me. No one can get it done but me. And that's a heavy thing to carry, right? But what's happening here isn't it's not just personality. A lot of times we're just, oh, you're the independent, it's kind of part of your personality. It's not really that. It's really a pattern that your nervous system learned, okay? And at some point in your life, you likely had an experience where you needed support and you didn't get it. You relied on someone and you were let down, probably multiple times. You expressed a need and it wasn't met. And your system made a decision. And when I say system, your nervous system. And that decision is it's just safer if I handle things myself. Now, again, a lot of these things tie back to our family of origin, right? They happen when we're younger. Not saying they couldn't have happened later in life. That can certainly be the case. And we're not hating on parents. They're just doing, the best that they can. But when we get to that point, like it's safer I just handle things myself, this decision that we make when we say that is because it helped us function, it helped us survive, and it helped you become capable. But here's the challenge, here's the problem with this, right? The same pattern that protects us, protected you back then, might now be blocking the connection that you actually want. So what do I mean by that? Let me show you how this might play out in a relationship, okay? So imagine someone comes into your life who actually wants to show up for you. And they ask you, hey, what do you need? Is there anything I can help you with? And your automatic response before you even think about it is, no, I'm good. I've got it. No, just fine. Everything's fine. And it's not because you don't have needs. Now, you may not know what those needs are, but it's not because you don't have them, but because it feels uncomfortable, right, to depend on someone else. Because if we go back in the time machine, that's probably what happened. We were depending on someone else and they didn't show up. And so it feels super uncomfortable. So But from their perspective, right? The other person in the relationship, from their perspective, it looks like, well, she doesn't need me or he doesn't need me. And then what happens over time is they actually take a step back. And it's not because they don't care, but it's because there's just no space for them to step in. And so now your original belief gets reinforced. See, I have to do everything myself. And we get caught up in this circular thing, right? I'm independent. Do you need help? No, I don't need help. Then you do everything yourself. And then it's like, see, yes. And so with just this loop that goes, it just reinforces, we go round and around with this belief, right? But here's a deeper truth for you, okay? And this can be maybe a little hard to see, but I want you to think about this, okay? Hyper independence often isn't strength, all right? It's self-protection. And it's what happens when your nervous system doesn't fully trust that support will actually be there, that it will actually show up for you. So instead of risking disappointment, you remove the risk altogether. And that's how? By not needing anyone, right? And the cost of that, though, is pretty high because you don't just avoid disappointment, you also miss out on being supported, being cared for, and having your needs be met. And so the goal here isn't really to lose your independence, right? It's to create something that's a little more in balance. So, we can have hyper independence on one side and then total helplessness or neediness, right, on the other side. Neither one of those are good. We have to balance it. So we want to just get things more back in balance where you can say, hey, I can handle things on my own, but I will also allow myself to receive support. Now, how do we do this, right? We're going to start with some small shifts. You might start with letting someone help you with something very simple, right? Expressing a need without immediately taking it back, because that's going to feel uncomfortable. And then not stepping in right away when someone else could show up. And yes, is that going to feel uncomfortable at first? 100% it's going to, because you're doing something new that your nervous system isn't used to. But discomfort doesn't mean that it's wrong. So when you start feeling uncomfortable with this, I just want you to kind of sit in that for a minute and take some breaths, and it'll be okay. And let the person go ahead and meet that small need. And that's why we start small. And when our nervous system is feeling so uncomfortable, it just means that we're doing something new. That's all. You're safe, right? You're just doing something new. So if you've been living in this pattern of doing everything on your own, I want you to hear this, and I want you to hear it really clearly, okay? You were never meant to carry life by yourself. And needing support doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. We were created, when God created us, he created Adam and he created Eve, right? And he said, it's not good for man to be alone. He needs a helpmate. And so we weren't meant to do life alone, as humans. And it isn't that independence is the problem. It's the belief underneath it that you have to do everything alone, that you have to take care of everything by yourself. That's what needs to be healed. But the good news is that belief can change. It really can. So, one of the things that we do when we work together is we go deeper with these attachment patterns, how they form, how they show up in relationship. And we begin to create a sense of emotional safety where you don't feel like everything is on your shoulders constantly, because that is so exhausting. And it will take a toll on your health at some point if it hasn't already. But really, it's because real connection isn't about doing life alone. It's about finally feeling safe enough not to. All right. So Love to hear from you. Love to hear your comments. And let me ask you this, you guys can comment about this. Do you find it hard to ask for help? Even when you know you need it, do you find that hard? I'd love to hear you share about that. So if you like what you hear in this video, subscribe, like it, and share it out. Appreciate it.